Longest weekend you ever get in February because it's leap year. You get an extra day. I hope you enjoy it on Sunday. I'm Hugh Hewitt. Thank you for listening to the Hugh Hewitt Show this morning. Global stocks plummeted overnight, and the worst financial panic since 2008 continues. It's just a panic. It will run its course. Don't sell into a panic. I've always told my kids that. I still believe it. I think this will be the biggest V we've ever seen because all we needed to do was start to get ready for coronavirus, which we have done. And then there won't be the impact that people worry about. There will be some supply chain disruption. People will go back to work. There will be a bad first quarter, but it is not the end of the world. The virus is not Ebola. It is not Ebola. 80% of the people who get it, I hope you don't get it. I don't want it. But 80% of the people who get it just have a mild case, may stay home. Indeed, we want you to stay home. And then among the 20% that have severe cases, the vast majority of them survive as well. They may need hospitalization, isolation, but they will survive. It's people with compromised immune system and previously existing respiratory conditions who are at greatest risk from COVID, and they may be self-isolating already, but the market panic is just absurd. It's just way over the top, but you can't stop a panic. Just get out of the way. Mike Pence, the vice president, put in charge yesterday by the president of coronavirus, or Monday. What day did he get put in charge? Wednesday. Wednesday, the vice president got put in charge. I wrote about it on Monday, why he should be the guy. He went to CPAC, Conservative Political Action Conference, yesterday and said this about coronavirus. Cut number 12. This is the vice president doing his new job.
Before I begin, though, allow me to address an issue that I know is on the hearts and minds of people all across this country. The potential impact of the coronavirus here in America. President Donald Trump has no higher priority than the health, safety, and well-being of the American people. Last month, following word of the outbreak of the coronavirus in China, President Trump took unprecedented action to protect the health of Americans. He declared a public health emergency. We suspended travel to the United States from China. We initiated quarantine efforts for American citizens returning and established a White House coronavirus task force, which has literally met every single day to protect the American people. As of today, we have 15 cases of coronavirus that have been detected in the United States, with only one new case detected in the last 2 weeks. There's another 45 cases that have been diagnosed among Americans who've been repatriated from China. And while one American is hospitalized, thankfully all the patients have been treated and are doing well. And while the risk to the American public remains low, as the president said yesterday, we're ready. We're ready for anything. Yesterday, President Trump directed me to lead a whole-of-government approach to address the coronavirus in this country. And I promise you, we will continue to bring the full resources of the federal government to bear to protect the American people. And as the president also said, it's important to remember we're all in this together. This is not the time for partisanship. The American people expect us to work together. And I promise you, this president, this administration, is going to work with leaders in both parties. We'll work with leaders across this nation at the state and local level. And this president will always put the health and safety of America first.
This is why I wanted Pence in this job, because people have to cover him. He's very good at message delivery. He knows what he's doing, and people always return his phone calls. He's the vice freaking president of the United States. And so he will get it organized and get it done. I think he's already doing so. He went on Hannity's show last night, largest audience in cable land, and said this about the Democratic attack upon the president's preparedness plan, cut number 13.
Well, look, the president made it clear yesterday, we're all in this together. This is not the time for politics. And after the president asked me to lead the effort on the corona response from the White House, working with the task force that he established now a month and a half ago, working with state government officials and local and health officials, the president also directed me to reach out. I spoke to Speaker Pelosi. I spoke to Senator Schumer, as well as the Republican.
How did those conversations go?
They were good conversations.
They were, because they were politicizing it almost instantaneously.
Yeah, I know. But look, the president said to me, look, I want you to reach out to the Republican and Democrat leadership, because we want to push politics aside. We want to make sure we get the resources that we need to respond to this, to make sure the CDC, all of our agencies have the support that they need, that states have the support should this matter become more serious. But the president's message is very clear. We're ready. We're ready for anything. We continue to prepare for whatever may come. But the reality is that because of the actions that President Trump took last month, literally, ending travel, closing our borders to people coming in from China, establishing a quarantine process, setting up a task force. I mean, if the president hadn't taken those unprecedented steps,
they didn't seem to like it then.
We'd be in a very different place today, Sean.
He did not like it. He went on to talk about the early decisions of President Trump. Mike Pence, cut number 14.
Well, look, and there was criticism last month. But when we first received word of the outbreak of the coronavirus, shortly after the first of the year, the health team came in. I was there in the Oval Office, and they said to the president, look, what we ought to do is we ought to end air travel. We ought to close our border, and we ought to establish a quarantining process for any American citizens that we allow back in. And they said, no president has ever done this before, but we're recommending, out of an abundance of caution, that you do it. And President Trump didn't hesitate for 1 second. He said, do it. And it was criticized by some at the time. But as I said, our health experts told me again yesterday when we huddled right after that press briefing for the first time. They said we would be in a very different place today if President Trump hadn't taken the decisive action that we had. And today, we haven't had a new case for the last 2 weeks until the word that reached the public in the last 24 hours. We've had 15 cases in this country, and people are being treated and doing well. One is still in the hospital. But the other 45 cases are all American citizens that we brought back home, went through a quarantining process. We're monitoring them. So I take my hat off to the president's leadership, as well as to Secretary Azar, the team at CDC, Homeland Security. This has been a whole of government approach, but when the president tapped me to lead the White House effort on this, I think it just demonstrated again to the public the seriousness that the president's placed on this. He's telling us to lean into this effort out of an abundance of caution, because he has no higher priority than the health and safety of the American people.
Good. Pence is great at this. One more Pence cut from Hannity last night, cut 16 on the risk.
The risk of the spread of the coronavirus in the United States of America remains low. That's according to all of our experts, and it's a direct result of the unprecedented action that President Trump took last month when he closed our border to Chinese individuals coming into the country, and also established a quarantining effort. Our White House coronavirus task force has literally been meeting every day for the last 6 weeks. And the American people can be confident that we're going to bring, at the president's direction, the full resources of the federal government to bear to protect the people of this country. That being said, during this time of year, it's always a good idea to engage in best practices, and people can go to cdc.gov to get the latest information on not only this virus, but how they can best see to the health of their family and their communities.
I just think Mike Pence is terrific at this. And I hope he's on next week with me. I hope he goes on every show in America, goes on The View, just says the same stuff. Prepare, don't panic. The markets, don't sell into a panic, people. It will bounce right back. Next week, it'll be fine. But in the meantime, Joe Biden is not going to be fine. The latest South Carolina poll from the Post and Courier. That's a big newspaper down there. Joe Biden's lead is down to 4. Now, 2 other polls say he's got double-digit leads. Emerson and Monmouth, but Post and Courier is the South Carolina poll that you look to, like you look to the Iowa poll out of the Des Moines Register, which didn't happen this year. The poll that matters has got Biden at +4. Ouch. Stay tuned. More coming up after the break on this, The Hugh Hewitts Show.